Hi there, this is Sheena Rowlands and today I'm sharing with you my latest layout for Hey Little Magpie. And for this layout I'm using the 49 and Market Collection Kaleidoscope. And actually what I'm showing you now is the collection bundle with the custom chipboard. This is the first of their bundles that I've actually had. So I've got the full paper pack there, this 12 by 12 chipboard, there's rub-ons and there's laser cuts as well. Now, this paper that I'm showing you is the Treasured Teal. In fact, this is the B-side, and it caught my eye right from the start, and I really wanted to use it. So I brought in their frame set, and also this Hey Little Magpie die, which is circle web. So I had an idea that I was going to use the stack frames, or at least the white ones, to build 4 clusters within the drawn sewn lines on this pattern paper. Also, each corner is a completely different colour. So using the 6x8 pad, I picked 4 papers and used the die to cut 4 of those circle webs that I'm going to use inside those frames. So using a tiny bit of wet glue, I'm going to stick those 4 frames to that base layer because I'm actually going to take it away to my sewing machine and just sew round it. Just to stitch it to the base, but also to kind of mimic the sewing that's already on the base layer. In fact, in the end, I actually sew over that as well, just to add a little bit more texture. So that's it sewn. You'll see it better in the close-ups at the end. But once that's done, I've actually, in a tray on my left, put together some embellishments that are in the colourways to match the background. I've also printed 4 photographs, but I'll come back to those later. So when I went through all the embellishments that I have for this collection, I realised I had quite a few doubles. So I've got these diagonal frames, square frames with the diagonal stripes in all 4 colours. So we're looking at the peachy colour. There's 2 shades of blue in this collection, in fact, pink and the green. So I'm going to actually layer these colours up in each corner of this pattern paper. I think there's enough colour going on in the background and the embellishments, so that's why I've printed my photographs black and white. I'm just trying to just lay things out with the bits that I've got. I've tried not to overdo it. I don't really want to cover the background paper too much. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Actually, this is the B side of the paper, which is a bit of a surprise to me because it was actually my favourite side. But actually, the Treasured Teal on the other side, I do really like as well. So I may be acquiring another sheet of this at some stage. So for each of the clusters, I've got the white frame that's sewn down. I've got the diagonal striped frame. I've got the chipboard words, and I will use one word in each one. And then I've varied it a little bit. I've got some like chipboard puffy hearts. I've got a few of the banner phrases that I end up picking out some bits from the laser cuts, particularly a couple of like threaded hearts. Got some tickets as well. I don't want each cluster to be the same, but I want it to feel like it's coordinated and it's got some sort of flow to it, if that makes sense. So while I'm looking at all these bits and pieces, and there's some beautiful parts to this collection. I mean, there is some beautiful birds and flowers, which I haven't even touched on yet, and you'll definitely see in later layouts. And I do succumb and use some rub-ons on this as well. Just some little bits, and I'm going to cut them from this sheet. I think their rub-ons are just fabulous. If you had trouble with rub-ons 10 years ago, do not be put off by that, because the 49 and Market rub-ons are something else. So I'm going to try and find a little bit to go in each of the squares. So I'm slowly but surely going to start to stick things down. I'm going to use some foam pads to add some dimension, but I'm going to add a little bit, as I said, of the rub-ons to the base layer first, and then add bits over the top. Now we go back to the photographs. I need to double check the year, but I think it's 2000, either 2005. I think it's actually, 2005, because I was thinking in my mind that next year it'd be 20 years since these photos were taken. Now they are digital, but the quality isn't great. Things have really moved on. Gosh, do I sound old? Things have moved on in the last 20 years. So consequently, none of these photos would be great printed large. Also, I feel that my personal photography has changed a lot in that time. And when I look at some of the shadows on these photos or my positioning in the garden or the background, I've learnt a lot about photography in that 20 years as well, like everybody. So I decided I would use all four. I will add the date when I've confirmed it. But they do bring back great memories. I do remember this spring in the garden. I remember my children playing together really well. Actually, being friends, I suppose, is what I'm thinking of. And actually, because obviously siblings are siblings, aren't they? But actually, they were having a really good time together. And when I saw the chipboard word that said playtime, I thought actually that worked really well. And I had to dig on the server to actually find these photos because I'm not convinced I've scrapped them together before. So it made me smile just even scrapbooking these photographs, and that's essentially why we do this, isn't it? So I will add a little bit of my thoughts on the back and my memories of this day. So I'm just tweaking a few bits. These rub-ons, you can cut into them and then position them exactly where you want them, and they rub off really, really well. And there's literally a couple of little blobs there I've put on the right, and I've used the rest of it within the frame. But they're still really effective. So I would, if you have never tried them before, I would really recommend them. So I'm not going to stick it down all of it on camera. I'm just going to finish this last square here, rectangle, whatever. So a little bit of rub-on the base. Then I'm going to add the diagonal frame over the top, just with a little bit of foam there, just to lift it up. I still want to be able to see through the gaps. I've got the circle web on a little bit of double-sided tape there, and I can add my photo straight over the top. So obviously you notice I printed the photos in two different sizes. I thought the squares sat better in the horizontal rectangles, and that obviously the vertical photos look better in the frames that fitted them. So it adds a bit of interest as well, doesn't it? So I'm just going to add the word to that, which is today. I'm going to add that over that heart. I just don't want it to touch the blue frame on its right, so I was just being sure there. And in the end, I think I took a little bit of ticket in as well. I always like to look through all the last bits and pieces. I'm always trying to get an extra bit on a layout if I can. Otherwise, it just sits in your stash. So I've got some puffy hearts here that are in the Hey Little Magpie, and they're in the store. And I've added one of each colour to each photograph. They matched really, really well to this collection. And I'm literally, it's just final tweaks now because I'm really happy with the way that it's looking. And I brought in, at the last minute, I brought in the wishing bubbles and baubles, and I've got some of the little circles. So some of them are plain, some of them I've got polka dots, some of them have got little stripes. And I'm going to add 3 to each cluster, just dotted around. Unbelievably, or maybe believably, this takes me more time than you realise. I think it's just because you're doing those last finishing touches that it takes me a little bit to think about where I actually want them. But in the end, I'm quite happy with the way that looks, and I'll show you the dimension. It's not as chunky as some of the layouts that I've made before, but there is a little bit of foam in there. And thank you so much for watching this. Please subscribe to our channels, give us a thumbs up. Any comments, any questions, just pop them in at the bottom, and I hope to see you here again real soon. Bye for now.